Hey, what's up? Welcome to Degen Ed. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice. Just me having fun looking at charts like the chart behind me, which is of LivePerson, ticker symbol LPSN. And so here I am recording this on Thursday, September 26th, just after the market closed, and LivePerson closed at a price of $1.20, being up over 13% on the day. And so, yeah, I'm really excited to be going over the chart. I've been waiting for this to happen, and I'm glad that it broke to the upside. But I just want to go over, my analysis from the last video where I kind of failed in recognizing or not recognizing that the breakout here was not confirmed. We did get a retrace, and it does look like we're breaking out again, but, of course, we have not yet confirmed. So I think it's really good to be looking for that. But yeah, I just wanted to go over some of the levels that are here up on the chart that did serve as kind of guides for the retracement that we had recently seen, and also the consolidation that we had seen forming a floor here, which in all honesty, I was getting a little concerned. This was a bear flag, that this might be breaking to the downside. And so I was looking to add to my position at 96 cents, which was the low that was hit on August 5th. Fortunately, we did not take a dip to that level, and it does look like we have broken to the upside. So, I don't think this was a bear flag. I think that this was just forming a bottom, and now we're breaking out. And, so I'm going to go over some levels that I think will be good to look for if there is a pullback, and, that we do respect those levels for continuation higher. But as of right now, I think that this could be heading up to this purple line here, which was really kind of like the basis of why I started to look at the chart here. And so I first began looking at LivePerson over the weekend between August 16th and 19th. So on that Sunday night ticker request LivePerson was requested, and I was really compelled by the chart. I thought it looked like it would be breaking out to test this purple trend line, which if I do take a step back, that was really just based on these two pivot highs, one being the pivot high from February 29th, when we gapped down, hit a high of that level during that day, but then, pulled back up to that level on, July 29th, hitting a high of $1.60 before retracing. And so I viewed this as a cup and handle that I thought that we would be retesting that purple trend line and then breaking out above $1.60. And so we did end up, believe it or not, breaking out the very next day on that Monday, August 19th, hitting a high of $1.79. And so it looks like, on that day, up over 27.5%. So it was a pretty remarkable call as far as, recognizing that this would be testing this level and then breaking out. However, what I failed to do was recognize that this breakout was not confirmed, and then we did get a close below not only $1.60, but also below that purple trend line, which was a close at a price of $1.56 on August 20th. And so on that day, that's when I began my journey with LivePerson. I was looking for a retrace to the scene of the crime, or pulling back to around $1.60. So I started to establish a very small position at that point on the 20th, and on the way down, I had been accumulating some shares. Now my average, I believe, is $1.28. Again, though, a very small position. But since we have recently just had this breakout, I am looking to add more while it is below 128, and then see where that takes me, whether that's a pretty sizable gain going up to $1.70 or beyond, or maybe just pulling up to this neckline. I'll kind of establish that. I'll determine that as I go. But yeah, I just wanted to point out some of these levels here. So this retracement going from the low of August 5th up to that high hit on the 19th, that was at $1.79. We got some levels here, one being the 786, which was at $1.14. We consolidated below that level, so it didn't seem like it was looking that good, like it might be pulling back to a full retracement coming down to 96 cents. But if we do take a further step back, we can see this retracement here going from the lows from April 23rd, which were at 45.1 cents, and then going up to that high of 160, we have the 50% retracement at $2.5, or right around $1 to $1.03. And we were consolidating just above that level, having hit the lowest low of $1.01 on September 6th, as well as some other days like the 11th here. And, the low on the 18th was also 101, as well as on the 23rd. So 101, great dip buying level. It looks like that was forming as support, as it did correspond with this red 50% Fibonacci retracement there. So I find that to be really, really cool. So I did want to point that out. And then, on the way down here, it did look like we were consolidating here around the golden pocket. That's the range from the 65% retracement up to the 618. That is right around 125 up to 128. Did consolidate there. So, maybe we were going to hold that as support, as it does correspond with this trend line based on the pivot low from July 2nd, as well as that low of 96 cents from August 5th. But, that effectively was a bear flag and we broke lower. And so I was concerned that this consolidation would be followed by another break lower. So I had just been waiting to see what happens, whether it breaks to the downside or the upside. And it does look like it is moving to the upside. So I am pretty excited about that. Would have been nice to accumulate more shares down here. I did very cautiously, but I could have, as always, been more aggressive with that. But again, I don't know anything about the company. I don't really care too much about the company. I am really just talking about the chart here. And so while it is great that we have gotten this breakout, we may very well be retracing. And so a level that does stand out to me is the 786 around $1.14, as that was corresponding with a lot of the tops here, or just above a lot of the tops here. 114, maybe we do pull back to that level, so there could be a nice dip buying opportunity if we do. And then another thing that we can look at is just a trend line based on the high from September 9th as well as September 13th. We do have a pretty nice downsloping trend line there, and it does look like with today's price action, it had been bottlenecking us in, and we just broke out, have not gotten any closes above that level until today. So I think that looks really, really good, but this is another level that we could be retracing to, pulling back to the scene of the crime, the breakout here, and that could potentially correspond with a price of right around $1 or $2.5, the 50% retracement here in red. So do keep that in mind, that just because we've seen a volatile move to the upside does not mean we are guaranteed to see that continue. We may see it pull back, and so I do think that at this point, though, if we do see it pull back, the odds are kind of in our favor that it will go higher. So a little bit of a safer bet to be buying the dip if it pulls back to 114 or 102 or 103. And that's just my opinion on that, though. But I definitely think that we could be seeing this going a lot higher up here. And so one way that I can assess some levels that it might be going to is just doing another Fibonacci retracement, going from the high hit on August 19th at 179, coming down to the low of 101 that was hit on September 6th. And so from that, we got these white levels. I'm actually going to change them to green, so it does correspond with this rainbow progression from red, orange, yellow, and now to green. And so with that, it does look like price pulled up to right around the 236, which is at a price of 119.4. And so, it is good that we did get a close above that, but it also does kind of make sense why we stopped out there, because we did hit a high of 122 during the day. However, in the after hours, we are up to 122. So maybe we are breaking above this 236 here at right around 119. The next level up is going to be at a price of right around 131, which is where the 382 is. That also does correspond with, this area of consolidation. So maybe the range from like 125 up to 131 might be some resistance there. So good to keep that in mind. But then the next level up, the 50% retracement is at $1.40, does correspond with the consolidation here at the top before pulling back. So I could definitely see that being a level of resistance. Then we got the golden pocket here ranging from about 149 to 152, right around 150. Also that being kind of a psychological level, and that does seem like it is corresponding with this purple downtrend. So the neckline of that cup and handle that I previously talked about. So I find that to be a pretty compelling level where we might see some resistance. Just beyond that is $1.60, this prior high. So we might be bumping into some resistance between that level and the 786 here at 162.3. So do keep that in mind. And that would also be corresponding with getting back to this white uptrend here that I might make a little bit thicker, because I do think that will be corresponding with some resistance, as it was support here in the past. We have broken below it. We now need to reestablish, reprove ourselves to get above that level. And then beyond that would be 179, that being the prior high here. So that might be corresponding with some resistance. And then if I do take a bigger step back, going back to the high hit in July of 2023, which was at $6.41, doing a retracement down to that low of 45.1 cents. We can see that the 236 is at a price of $1.85.7. And so, there might be some resistance there, not only corresponding with that level, also corresponding with the prior high of 179, this uptrend. So good to keep that in mind. But, one thing that I don't have drawn up here is a gap that it's quite possible we could be filling on this run up. Who knows? And so that is based on the close from February 28th, which was at a price of $2.40, which I am just going to make a little bit thicker here, dashed line, because it is an unfilled gap, and color it blue. So we know price could be heading up to around 240. But, let's say price doesn't go in a straight line from current price up to 240, which is a 100% swing, a 2x. So very nice there. But let's say, we stop out at some of these levels from current price right around 120. We could see that getting up to the 382 is about a 9% swing. Up to the 50% retracement, that represents about 16 to 17%. Getting up to that neckline, that purple neckline, is about 26.5% to the upside. And then getting to the 786, or returning to 160, that prior high, that represents about 34% to the upside. And then returning to 179, looks like it's about a 50% move to the upside. So definitely a lot of potential to the upside, but there is also some risk that it could be pulling back to retest this downtrending line as support, and that could be about a 15 to 16% retracement. So good to keep that in mind as well. But following this fake out break that we saw over here, I think that what we're seeing is a breakout, but at a much lower price, which means there's a lot more opportunity before we start bumping into resistance again. So I am really excited about this. For me personally, though, I am probably not going to be holding this for a 2x up to fill that gap at 240. But looking at this as a swing, let's see, my average is right around 128 here. Up to that neckline, that's about a 20% swing up to, around 153. I would be happy about that, but that is just me. And one thing that I did want to note before closing the video is that the volume does look like it has picked up, so this move is backed by volume, so pretty good there. Also, the RSI, it looks like it's at 56.09 for the day, so about the neutral zone, but getting towards that overbought territory of 70. But once it does cross above 70, I do think the momentum could be in its favor, as looking at the MACD, it does look like it has just flipped green, and so we could be seeing a nice little rally like we saw over here, which represented a move of about 178%. While I don't think we're necessarily going to be going up that high, I do think it is quite possible we could be getting up to fill this gap, which from current price is a 100% swing. But, those are just my thoughts. If you found them helpful, make sure you like the video, share your thoughts in the comments down below, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Thanks a lot for watching. Take care, you guys.